First of all, I think I'm a mother. I don't think, actually, I know I'm a mother. I'm a mother to two. But also, I've spent the last 16 years of my life in the broadcasting sector, my chosen fields of television and radio. And I've honed my craft on both sides, in the front and the back. And I'm driven by making a change in the sector, because when you stop and think about it, it still very largely is in its infancy stages. I always say to people, the FM band is very empty, really. There's very few radio stations, but also with television, the mere idea that you can put up with your one hand or two hands, you will not be able to count all of the television stations that exist in the public broadcast sector, let alone the community sector, which is the service that we serve, means that ideally we find ourselves in the infancy of this business, which means that infancy post-democracy, but which actually means that we have a big responsibility, much bigger than the a generation to come or two generations to come, because in 50 years' time, when the story of television or radio is told in South Africa, or even online television, it has to be told through me and you, and the decisions that we made and the things that we did. So that's who I am. What I do at Soweto TV is a 360 role, really, of being responsible for everything that you see on Soweto TV. But you can't be oblivious of the fact that managing an entity that you're not starting from scratch means that other people managed it before you, and other decisions were made before you, other contracts were gotten into before you. And it means that sometimes you have a couple of things to see through before your own strategy sees the light of day. And the difference that I always find so fascinating with radio and television is how a manager can walk in on radio today and say, okay, as of tomorrow, we make this decision, and you run with it. With television, it's a bit more cumbersome. So the things that I'm planning today, you might see maybe in December, or you might start to see in the latter part of this year. But it doesn't mean I'm not being effective. It just means that it's a medium that is different in the way that it works. But there's things that I can do and fine-tune now that can give the perception or the notion of change. That it's a fascinating story. It's a fascinating story of a dream that a couple of people had, that the era of segmentation where the media is concerned is here, and you need to find a way to talk to people understanding their dynamics and their demographics, because I think it must be tough for the public broadcaster to group us as viewers or as demographics, and it must be tough to find a way for them to talk to us. I think the idea of a community television station is a very noble one, because you hone in on specific people, their way of life, their mindset, and you broadcast that. But the truth again is that when we talk media segmentation, the challenges of townships in South Africa are very similar. Yes. The challenges of Watem, which is in Eburuleni, which is now a market that we also serve, are probably largely similar to the challenges of Soweto. I think that historically we're grouped by haves or not haves in South Africa. There's people who had, which means that they're ahead in terms of their advancement as human beings. And those of us, even in post-democracy South Africa, who didn't have, find ourselves still lagging behind and trying to catch up. But I think that there's an ability that came with the dream of bringing to the fore a channel like Soweto TV. And I think because it's a numbers business, broadcasting, those numbers are not a lie. When people said yes and they gave us 2.6 million viewers year on year, it's a validation to a large extent of the things that are right. But when the board brought me here, they said, okay, it looks like we potentially can take it higher. And I have to look at what works and what doesn't work. I have to understand the needs of the demographics. I have to understand how we can find a way to grow this and fully be representative of the market that we serve and the market that we want to attract. think that it's important for us to remember that Soweto now is beyond just its geography. When you talk to somebody who's in New York or talk to somebody who's in Australia and you say Soweto, they think Desmond Tutu, they think Nelson Mandela, they think the Sisulu family. And actually when you ask yourself, do those people really still live in Soweto? Nelson Mandela lives in Houghton and he lives in Kunu. The Arch lives largely in Cape Town. He still comes to visit here. The Sisulu kids are all over South Africa, but wherever it is that they go, they stamp the authority of this town. And I think we need to remember that now Soweto is a mindset. And I would hate to speak to somebody in Guruleni or somebody who watches us on DSTV and PE and give them the perception that we're better and they're less. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to say we stand for ethos of brilliance. We stand for a mindset of positivity. We're game changers. We're driven by upward mobility. We have dreams, and I think again those ethos apply to every township. They apply to every kid who has a dream and an adult who wants to make something of their life. So I never ever want to talk down at the market that we service. I want to create an offering that says to them, I can relate. They get who I am too, even though I don't physically live in Soweto. And I think they serve me too. What I found when I came here is that the station finds itself in the realms of two extremes. The one extreme on the one end is religion, and the other extreme is youth. And it's fascinating that I'm 41 years old and a woman, and I ask myself, I know that maybe it's wrong, I'm a sample of one, but I ask myself, do I have representation in this station? And I looked at the license, and the license says I service a community of people in their diversity, in their different needs, and who it is that they are. And I worried a bit about the two extremes. I worried about the fact that, for example, if you talk religion, there's also Rastafarians in Soweto. There's Black Jews, by the way, in Soweto, and there's people who are spiritualists, who don't necessarily align themselves to religion as an institution, but it doesn't mean they're atheists. And even if you're an atheist, you have the right to believe what it is that you want to believe. And I think that as a broadcaster, the responsibility we have is to reflect those very divergent and diverse views as best as we can within the resources that we have. So I think I defined myself immediately from the moment I got in here as somebody who's going to fight for a balance in the content that we deliver and find ways to make those divergent views come across. So yeah, on the one hand, I think the brand represents Soweto. On the other hand, it represents just an extreme of one side. So everybody has to find space. It's a mammoth task, but I think we're up for the challenge and the task. BT is a channel that was created to service the marginalized community of Black Americans. And it was designed as a community television station when it started. But everything in life is about the how. Everything is in how you do it. And I know that making the comparison with BET is like comparing apples and oranges, and somebody can say, Soweto TV and BET, hello. But I love the ethos of brilliance. I love the notion in everything that I do. I love to stand for brilliance. And I say to my team, I say, we need to fight for that space. We need to fight to be taken seriously. We need to fight to say, even in the absence of us having the resources that the big players have, if you watch our content, you'll know we applied our mind We strategically thought things through before we decided to do them. And more than anything, we want to stand out in our own way. And I think that's what I've tried to do since I got here. I said to the guys, okay, our resources are limited. We, for example, cannot commission in the way that your public broadcaster, your free-to-air channel can commission. We get our hands dirty because we conceive and we pre-prod ourselves and we bring to life. It's a lot of work, but I think if we change our mindset about who we are and we decide that we want to stand for a particular thing, which is brilliance within our space, then I think we're off to something. And I want for myself to be that girl, to be that one who made positive and lasting change in Soweto TV. And I want, I always say to my friends, I want for people to say, that girl really did something great there. And I think that counts a lot for me, beyond